Thank you, Haru and Low Res, for the tags. And once again, shout out to the man, Rev. Alright, let's keep this simple. A couple days ago on June 6th, I ran a segment titled Here We Go, which was regarding the manga I Think I Turned My Childhood Friend Into a Girl and recent criticism regarding the localization. If you missed the prior segment, I'll link it in the description for you. The rest of the quick TLDR here is that the manga apparently covers the relationship between two guys, one who enjoys applying makeup and the other who lets the friend apply makeup to him. This causes the one receiving the makeup to find out that he actually enjoys wearing makeup, and he takes that a bit further and enjoys dressing up as a girl, and the relationship develops further that way. According to numerous people, the manga covers the developing interest this guy has in becoming a femboy. However, the point of contention is that the localization changes this to be a trans character instead of a femboy character. Okay, with that recap, that takes us to the new news where we have this localizer Katrina defending the localization. Now, Katrina, is actually somebody who I mentioned in a segment back on May 22nd titled What Happens When Twitter Finds Young Jump, because the same person, Katrina here, was complaining about Young Jump, saying it was sexist, just bizarre stuff. And anyways, I guess she's back in the news, so she's saying, I know the translator and they've done their homework on this series, reading future volumes, consulting with trans people, and working hard to make sure it's as accurate as possible. Shame on those listening to one rando and trashing it. I fully support this translator. Okay, so the thing is, this is not one rando. There's been numerous people criticizing this localization. A lot of criticism also came from this publication, ethylene.mangadex.com, where they made a very detailed write-up with a lot of evidence supporting their arguments for their criticism of the localization. So just saying it's like some rando and dismissing it like that seems very disingenuous. Katrina, the localizer defending the localization of the manga in question, continues further in what, in my opinion, is a bit of an unhinged rant. She goes off talking about how this criticism is only from a small group of fake fans, and that she basically says criticizing this localization is something only TERFs and the right wing would do. She insults the Ethylene Mangadex publication, saying it's just one scan guy who is being co-opted by the anti-localization crowd. And she even admits that she isn't really going to give any evidence as to why Ethylene's criticism of the localization isn't accurate. So, what we're really left here with is two sides. A publication that presented a very respectful criticism of a localization with evidence, and a localizer who attempts to defend the localization without any evidence by sounding very upset and accusing people of being TERFs and right-wing when the reality is they just want an accurate translation. Now look, I'm trying to be fair here. I don't know much Japanese at all. I'm totally open to hearing an argument as to why the localization is actually correct. However, who do you think I'm more likely to believe? A publication that once again presented a very respectful and reasonable argument with evidence supporting their points, or the angry localizer who provides no evidence and only insults people? And this is far from the first time that we've seen localizers having an extremely negative view on anime fans. For example, 2 years ago I reported on a leak from the Manga Gamer Discord server where they had a private channel for the localizers, and apparently one localizer leaked this information, so shout out to that localizer. And again, this was 2 years ago, so my recollection may be a bit hazy. However, essentially, the localizers in this private channel in the Discord server were just mocking anime fans and spreading a bunch of hate and saying very weird things. For example, acting like anime fans are plebs and acting like localizers are in a class above them. I know that sounds really weird, but that's literally what they were talking about. Going back to Katrina, I'd like to point out this particular response as well, where Ven says, I don't know why you're surprised that gay people are not too fond of the plot being changed to something that does not appeal to them anymore and instead an audience it was never intended for. I have not read the manga, however, I have seen various people on Twitter and even other websites explaining what the manga is about, claiming that the relationship does develop between the two guy characters in a gay way, as one enjoys being a femboy and the other one thinks he's attractive. And from there, I guess, they start to develop more and more feelings for each other. And so if that is the case, it totally makes sense why gay people would see this as a slight at them, turning the relationship into something that it wasn't originally about. I also think this situation can be used by localizers as an example of how not to act if you want to genuinely get the opinion of anime fans and have discussions about these sort of things, because all too often I do see localizers attacking anime fans, especially if there's any sort of even completely mild and reasonable criticism about a localization. You'll see localizers defend the localization and attack the anime fans. As I've said, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you very, very rarely see a localizer come out and be like, you know what, you guys are right, this localization could have been improved. And I think if localizers were to take a more moderate approach, a more reasonable approach, that it would be beneficial for everyone. Seriously, just imagine if Katrina would have said something like, I have seen criticism about the localization on this manga, and the points do seem very fair. I can understand your grievances. However, I do think the localization is actually accurate, and here is why. And then she could have posted some evidence along with it, instead of going off on like a 5 5-tweet long rant on Twitter accusing them of being TERFs and like right wing and whatever the heck else. Lastly, as a side note for any potential localizers watching this video, I often see localizers completely misrepresenting the main argument from anime fans, which is that we simply want the translation to be as accurate as possible. We understand if localization is also about making the IP understandable to a certain region, and not about giving the most accurate translation. The thing is, that's another thing people dislike about localizations. The majority of anime fans that I've seen want a translation as accurate as possible, pure and simple, not something that was changed to fit Western values or culture more, which is something localizers do. NISA localizers, for example, were literally on stream saying that they changed jokes from Japanese into their localizations because the jokes are sexist and do not fit Western values according to them. Part of the appeal of consuming overseas media is the fact that some things from overseas are so different. And not fully understanding certain things can actually invoke thought and be a large part of the appeal. Now, all that said, there's also the issue of localizers interjecting biased, partisan political viewpoints into the IP, and as I've said before, this is not just an issue pertaining to localizers, but even ADR script directors at companies like Funny and Crunchy. I'm going to start wrapping this video up. It was certainly longer than usual. However, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you did enjoy, please consider liking and giving a thumbs up to the video and subscribing to the channel. There we go. Also, to end on a more wholesome note, please consider following my VTubers Twitter account, VT_chai. I'm just kind of posting some examples of the model and stuff, just basically having fun. More information will be posted coming up. However, if you do want to hang out on Twitter in the meantime, I'll catch you there.